It a little bit, but we have our next big match coming up. It's Musti, who won the qualifier last time around against NEissaT, who made the final in qualifier number 2. Don't go anywhere. This is going to be a cracking affair. A little bit about him in particular. He was my player to watch when we started the broadcast today. Fun fact about this, during his journey to this spot right now, he beat 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 6-0, and 𝐦𝐤𝐤𝐿 made it to the final of the first qualifier. So he's playing very, very well right now, and I'm excited about what he's bringing
into the playoff spot, which he's 100% secured anyway. But you can see here, age 20, he's ranked second. So as you mentioned, the bone to pick with 𝐷𝐷𝐿, he wants to be up against him, and he wants to take over and become #1 in Europe, because he was the winner of the European qualifier at number 3, also top 4 in qualifier number 2. So he's been around the top spot for a numerous amount of events this year.
Yeah, it should be a good one. I really like that you bring that, the history of these competitions this season. But now we're going to throw it over to Richard Buckley and our very own Ryan Passot, who's leaving the analyst desk to join the call of this match. Enjoy it, boys.
But I don't know if he's a staple in many squads. That I don't know if a lot of players would use him, perhaps as a super sub. But he's starting him. He's got the 5-star skills and the agility and the finesse shot trait. But yeah, it's a strong squad overall.
On the other side of that, NEissaT, maybe a little bit more familiar squad with that Bundesliga back 4, Ryan. If you are NEissaT, where are your goals coming from?
Matchups as well, which is very, very important. Play styles sort of dictate how the game will sort of feature or how the end result will become. But again, anything can happen. And with Jimmy said, it was incorrect. But the first goal is going to be very important just to see how the tempo changes.
Well, here we go. Losers bracket quarter-final. Winner of this plays PSV Dennis in the semi-final. It's going to be Musti, former champion, kicking from left to right, and NEissaT, highest ranked Israeli player from right to left, ranked 3rd on the global series rankings. Ronaldo looking to play in behind, but 𝐦𝐤𝐵 steps out of the back. And this is the second game in a row we've seen a Bundesliga-esque defence. Is there something there to that, Ryan? Is it personal preference, or are we going to start seeing more of this sort of Bundesliga-esque defence start to transition across more squads?
I'm happy you mentioned that, because again, the Bundesliga have so many incredible players defensively. You see even 𝐿𝐴𝐵𝐿, who isn't even in this squad, and Mbabu, who is incredible. So there's so many cards which are viable in defence, which is something that I like this year. You don't necessarily have to have the likes of Kyle Walker, Reece James in centre-back, Cancelo, etc. There are other options. Zachariah, there's Alphonso Davies, road to the final, Klosterman as well, that Lema, FUT Freeze card. So there's many, many options, but all of them are incredible. The Zachariah card, I know defensively, I believe, Rich, correct me if I'm wrong, was it FIFA 19 where he had that shapeshifter card in centre-back, which was incredible? It was either FIFA 19 or FIFA 20. I can't remember which one exactly, but it was such a good card.
Year.
Yeah, one of the two. But the Bundesliga, again, fantastic options defensively.
One thing that I do want to pick your brain on, and I'll continue to ask this throughout the game, we've seen sort of the meta defensively. From day one, it's been pace, pace, pace. That goal that got scored in the last game where R9 play look to the back post and won the header, do you think we might start seeing more sort of jumping, the jumping stat start to play a more bigger factor, the heading stat? Because if that's R9, imagine what CR7's doing on a player lock to the back post. He's never going to lose that header. So I feel as though we might be seeing a slight shift in another way of scoring goals, and that typically is how the meta will shift.
Yeah, and in my opinion, it's something that it's a good thing, having viable options or many different options to score a goal, because of course in FIFA 21 we've got through balls, we've got Lacazette cancels, we've got the directional nutmeg, we've got the bridge. So adding in the heading aspect, I think is a good thing. It's different to the FIFA 19 heading aspect where it was a lot of El Tornadoes or flick up
sort
crosses.
Sort of like Hail Mary, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And heading was assisted, so you didn't have to direct it as accurate on goals as you have to this year, because heading is manual. So when you win that header and you get it angled correctly past the goalkeeper, it's definitely a lot more skillful than in previous FIFAs. And that's something that I really, really like. We saw with the goal from Dennis that he's angled it perfectly across goal where Neuer was unable to get to it. And you spoke about R9. If that's CR7, it's still a goal. So again, that sort of comes into the thing where I know it was against the centre-back in Klosterman, but that could be the downfall of having full-backs in centre-back. Just because, again, you're able to cut through balls. However, you're definitely going to be susceptible to crosses.
You see this slow build-up here from Musti. Speaking of R9, trying to get on the ball, but Mbabu stands in front of him. Great tackle from the Bundesliga defender. Curtis Jones also appearing in a lot of squads. Sort of one of the perfect options. Curtis Jones really, with the restrictions that are given, enables you to play a very high-rated, sort of 88 rated midfielder, and you get the link. CR7 now, like a cancel inside the box, and NEissaT goes 1-0 up through CR7.
Fantastic. He was so composed there. I thought he was going to take it on the left. The 𝐿'Queta cancel onto Ronaldo's favoured right foot, which is, of course, from that angle, for him to miss that would be extremely rare. But it was a bit rushed and a bit uncharacteristic defending from Misty there. He sort of left the centre of the field very open and sort of, in a way, flooded the left side of his defensive positioning more so than... I guess he sort of tried to squeeze his opponent in there and trying to get the ball back from a passing lane or trying to, I guess, block him in. But the pass was open there for CR7, and as I mentioned, it would be rare for him to miss from that angle.
Cristiano Ronaldo now looking to get Musti back in the game, playing into Marcus Rashford, into Ronaldo. 𝐦𝐤𝐤 stands up strong against CR7. There'll be a lot of people watching at home, Ryan, saying, well, why has he cancelled that 𝐿'Queta? Why has he not just completed the skill move? Do you want to elaborate on that a little bit? Maybe after this attackers come in. CR7 on the edge of the box, directional nutmeg into R9, defence does well. But talk to us about that 𝐿'Queta cancel.
Yep, skill cancelling is something, again, that's a new addition into this FIFA, alongside like the player lock and the creative runs and stuff. But it's something where we've had skill moves sort of been nerfed across the last couple of years. You can't really skill chain because the ball will push further away. And the 𝐿'Queta skill move in FIFA 19 was the go-to skill move. And this could be a goal here.
Ooh, lovely! Musti takes a sort of a seat back. And really, he's got to consider what he is up against right now, because I'll be honest, he's looked quite poor in these first 40 minutes, has Musti.
Yeah, he has, and I'll be honest, the angle there from R9 to finish that so comfortably is commendable. But we were just speaking about the skill cancelling. If you do a normal 𝐿'Queta there, it's still viable. However, the ball it goes a little bit further away than perhaps some people would like. So cancelling it allows you to sort of go past the defender a lot easier and keep the ball closer to your feet when in the area of your opponent. So it's a very important skill move to learn. But that goal there, again, is sort of, as I mentioned before, uncharacteristic from Musti. He's not been that great in the first half from what we've seen so far.
Just saw Mbabu coming way out of the defensive area there to steal the ball back for NEissaT. Almost playing on the counter-attack. Lovely little flare pass into Kulusevski. Just offside is the Swede. With no injury time, I imagine that will do us for the first half. And it has been all NEissaT in the opening 45 minutes. An incredible display from the Israeli, who finds himself 2-0 up in Dreamland against Musti.
Yep, 2-0 up, 2 goals, 2 on target. So it's been a perfect start for him. He hasn't given up a shot yet either. In terms of possession, it's been pretty even. As you mentioned, it's been a slow start. Both of these players are using the same formation, so I don't know, maybe it's cancelling each other out. But NEissaT has to take so many positives from that first half because, as we mentioned, he's nullified Musti in creating any chances in the final third. Any clear-cut chances anyway for him to get a shot at goal. So he'll be hoping that that's going to be the same for the next 45 and also the next leg.
Both players in that 4-4-2 formation. Really sort of a pro's favourite / go-to this year. The 4-2-3-1 being phased out slightly. Still is used, but not to the extent that it was in previous FIFA titles. The 5-back had its day. Still used by a decent amount of players. And I think we're going to see Dull and Mike using that 5-back a little bit later on today. R9 coming again for NEissaT. Bruno Fernandes does well to shrug off the Brazilian. Musti's got to turn his ideas around very quickly. João Cancelo. That driven pass into the feet of Cristiano Ronaldo. Not really had much of the ball, has Ronaldo, in this opening 54, 55 minutes. And again, Ryan, the ball just turned over easily.
Exactly. NEissaT didn't really have to work for that. He sort of stepped back a little bit, jockeyed around and waited for 𝐚𝐚𝐼 to make that mistake, and he's sort of falling into the obvious traps, which at this level is not the best thing. You even see there, it's just a rush pass. You're sort of panicking a little bit, and we're not seeing the 𝐚𝐼 that we saw in the previous competition where the directional nutmegs are out in full force, and this could be another chance, but it was, for his case, luckily blocked by Theo Hernandez. And yeah, speaking of the directional nutmegs, when I saw the previous tournament, especially in the first game against 𝐽𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼, it was remarkable. And this game, he hasn't used it at all, which is a bit of a weird one. I thought perhaps that would be something that would be a go-to, just because the way he utilized it before, it was sort of like he mastered it. And 𝐽𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼, who is a fantastic defender, couldn't even get anywhere near him to stop it. So perhaps this could be something that he could look to try and create a chance, because so far nothing's been given.
Well, it's funny you mentioned 𝐽𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼, because 𝐵𝑛𝑒issaT beat 𝐽𝐿𝐼𝐼𝐼 6-0 in the losers bracket on his road to this matchup. Then beat Skifter and then knocked out Inter's Levy 4-0. So he's had a pretty tough run, has 𝐻Musti, to find �Musti in this predicament. On the other side of that, �Musti lost to Predator in the winners bracket semi-final, meaning that he just instantly dropped down to the losers bracket and didn't have to go through the trenches of that losers bracket run. But as you were saying, with the directional nutmeg, he was sort of doing it unconventionally. He'd have his back to a defender and then flick it out to the left or to the right. In the last qualifier was �Musti. Chance just coming across the box, nothing of it in the end. Could you put a reason on that, why he's not doing it as much? Is it confidence? Is it maybe trying to adapt your game plan? What could it be?
For me personally, right, this is where you sort of play against your, I guess, previous experiences. You sort of head a little bit, because you know it works so well for you. You're thinking, all right, my opponent knows it's coming, so that means I need to do something different. And that's where you can sort of, I guess, defeat yourself in a way, because your opponent might know it's coming. 𝐽𝐿𝐼𝐼 knew it was coming, you still couldn't stop it. So it's like you still have to continue with what's been working and not being, you sort of, it's like in real life, right? When you're playing or when you're watching football teams at the top level, the top teams, right, when they're always successful is when they're playing their own game. However, when they try to adapt to an opponent, that's when they sort of, again, there's so many top teams I could mention that are similar in that way, even in the Champions League, where they play their own style and it's working fantastically well, but then they match up against someone who's fantastic as well, and they think, all right, you know this team's good. Exactly. You try and counter their threats, which could nullify your own and end up just playing against you, which is something that I'm sort of seeing here. Perhaps that might not be the case. Of course, there are other emotions like nerves and anxiety in these stages, because it is a latter stage in an important tournament. However, he's had experience at this level, so you would expect him to be used to it. And speaking of the directional nutmeg, it almost worked out there for 𝐻Musti.
Yeah, Van der Sar off his line very quickly to nullify the threat from the R9 directional nutmeg. Flashback El Shaarawy not really been involved in the game, sort of been a passenger. He was one that Ryan pointed out at the start of the match when we had the opportunity to look at the players' squads, and not really had the impact that �Musti would have desired. On the ball now is the Italian, linking into R9, but again, Mbabu must be double figures for interceptions for that Kevin Mbabu what-if item. And just the pace, but also the physicality and defensive attributes that Bundesliga defense has, standing strong, and a clean sheet as well for 𝐵𝑛𝑒issaT with only 5 minutes left to play.
Say for 𝐻Musti, he's definitely learned just to be a bit more calmer and resort to game management when required. You see it's 2-0 here, but you don't want to rush in for an attack. You're leading the game. This is the key thing here, which separates the top players with the elite tier players, is that you might be winning 2-0. You might thinking, all right, I'm deservedly 2-0. It should be 3. It should be 4. I need to push on to try and get that extra goal just to solidify the lead. You end up pushing on. Oh, that pass is going to go out, unfortunately, for him. But you end up pushing on, and then you give up a goal, and it's 2-1. And then it's just like, oh, God, you're into the next game. And then perhaps you concede early on, and then all that hard work is sort of out the window. So the key thing is just to be calm and sort of just play the way you can to keep the ball. Of course, it's sort of a frown thing in the community where people keep the ball. I don't mind it if someone keeps possession against me if it's in the latter stages of the game. I can understand that. I would do the same thing. However, when you play against possession players from minute 1, they're the frustrating games to play in. And
that will do us. Another interception from Mbabu. 𝐵𝑛𝑒issaT 2-0 victory in leg number 1 here in the losers bracket quarter-final. Lots
few more and it could get out of reach, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, we'll see what happens indeed. We are back underway in leg number 2 of our losers bracket quarter-final between NEissaT and xMusti. It's going to be NEissaT kicking from left to right and xMusti from right to left in the white. xMusti has to start early if he wants to try and get back into this game. A third goal for NEissaT would arguably wrap it up for the Israeli, setting up a tie against PSV Dennis in the losers bracket semi-final. Early indications sort of showing xMusti going to be a little bit more patient on the ball. I think that was one of the big things that was letting him down in that first leg. He was rushing chances. He was trying to sort of play balls that weren't really there, just like that one with Bruno Fernandes. Patience is key.
It is, and as a player, when I compete in qualifiers and tournaments, when you give the ball away needlessly, especially when you're not under heaps of pressure, they are the most infuriating moments, because of course sometimes when you're playing against top players like NEissaT, you can see how good he is at keeping possession. You don't know when you're going to see that ball again, and if you do see it, it might be from a kickoff, you might have conceded. So it's like a double whammy of negatives where you're giving the ball away and you've conceded. So it's like you don't want to be in that position. You want to, if you're going to give the ball away, you want it to be a thing where perhaps your opponent makes a block in the box or a last ditch tackle. You don't want to give it away and build up when it's just like someone's sort of baited to cut a passing lane and you fall for it. Those are the worst ways to give the ball away.
Ball looking to get played into. Kulusevski there for NEissaT, but a counter-attack potentially on the cards, starting to formulate for the German, representing FC St. Already took a trophy home to that team, looking to make it 2. Great tackle from 𝐥𝐤, and when you see sort of that defence that might be pretty much all under 86, not only are you using very meta players, but you're also helping your restrictions, because you can sort of really get your attack as good as possible. You can throw all your higher rated players in the final third, Ryan.
Exactly, and as you mentioned, you can just bolster the squad in terms of offensive capabilities, because you have all your defense, and of course goalkeeper doesn't fit into restrictions, but all your defense are 86 and below, which allows you just to creep in more players in offense. You've got the likes of Bruno Fernandes, etc., that can fit into squads. So of course, from NEissaT's perspective, that 𝐭𝐡𝐢𝐬 as well, which is fantastic, and it could be a mistake here for that offside trap.
And directional nutmeg, and then slotted in the near post. We wanted to see that directional nutmeg. You even called for it in the first leg, Ryan, and you're seeing it right there in all its glory.
The directional nutmeg, which I spoke about for xMusti here, which is very, very important. He's finally done his first one of the game, and it gave him the first chance, a clear-cut chance. 23rd minute into it, so there's still a long way to go, and there could be a comeback on the horizon.
Comeback indeed. xMusti got that huge goal back. Not only in the scoreline, half in the deficit, but confidence, momentum. So much on the cards for him right now in terms of the mental side of the game, and the sort of just composure in general. Composure and confidence are huge attributes that you can't practice for, Ryan. You can't sort of even train. It just happens. You've got to get experience in these qualifiers.
Yeah, exactly. And the experience, as you mentioned, comes from practice or just being in those situations. We have so many practice tournaments that are hosted by members of the FIFA community, which do help to get that sort of gist and competitive nature back into you and install it into your gameplay. However, it's not the same as qualifiers. Qualifiers is a completely different element of nerves and things that come into factor. So it's very, very difficult. And the only way you can learn is to reach these stages where the pressure is like you're in the pressure cooker. You have to perform, especially in a loser bracket where if you lose, of course, in this stage, you're out. you don't have a second chance like Predator, FIFA or Dynamite, where they might lose their game coming up later on today. They still have a second chance to bounce back, to get back into rhythm and showcase why they are really good and why they're at this stage. But in the loser bracket at this stage, there is nothing that can be done. And we see, I believe, some sportsmanship here. NEissaT had to kick the ball out and xMusti does throw it back for a goal kick, which is good to see.
Yeah, you always want to see the good sportsmanship between the two players. But we are back underway, 26 minutes into our losers bracket quarter-final second leg. And NEissaT leading 2-1 still. However, in this second leg individually, it was xMusti who got that all-important goal back. And Ronaldo turning his man with the directional nutmeg, fires a shot across check. He does well, a little bit risky across the back. Looks to be getting in his mojo back, xMusti, right now.
He is. As I said, the directional nutmeg, this is what he's been doing. This is what which has set him above the rest. He's so good at it. So I sort of didn't understand why it's taken a whole game for him to start to get back into it. As I said, maybe he just was fighting against his own things, trying to do something that's unpredictable. But whereas the predictable thing has been working. So we saw that, and it was very nearly a mistake from NEissaT there with the clearance with Petr Cech trying to pass it to a defender at an odd angle, because Petr Cech, isn't a ball-playing goalkeeper. But we see the bridge here from NEissaT, the ball scoop turn, and a fantastic block there from Theo Hernandez.
Theo Hernandez getting across and saving xMusti right there. Individual skill on show from Cristiano Ronaldo. Ball roll scoop turn after turning Kyle Walker. This game's starting to liven up right now. Both players really starting to express themselves in the final third. Lovely close control dribbling from xMusti. Ball played into R9. Went for the first time shot, quite surprisingly. Wasn't expecting that choice from R9. An opportunity missed for xMusti.
This is more vintage. This is what I'm talking about. This is the thing what I was saying, how he's starting to get into his own now, especially offensively, where I saw the run from R9 from ages ago. And the pass there was perfect. Of course, the first time shot, I guess in hindsight, maybe he could have taken a touch, been a little bit more composed. But first time shot sometimes would work out in that situation. Unfortunately for him, it didn't.
Neymar holding on to the ball for quite a prolonged period of time there. Stamina being drained. R9 into CR7. Cristiano Ronaldo. Great save from Van der Sar. Rebound comes back to NEissaT. It's a heroic step in from the defender. And another opportunity for NEissaT to extend his lead back to 2. Squandered.
What a
chance.
Save. What goalkeeper movement as well, to be fair.
Chance not done yet. Curtis Jones slips it into Neymar. Theo Hernandez with another interception. And that will do us for half-time. A frantic 45 minutes in leg number 2. Ryan, this could go either way in the second leg.
It could be, and in all honesty, right, from personal experience, NEissaT is doing him. I want to say it's a mistake, right? Of course, he's got a lot of possession, but when you're in that situation where sometimes you're winning by 2 goals, you go into the second leg, you sort of go into your mind thinking, all right, you know your opponent's really, really good. I'm just going to keep the ball, try and... If I've got the ball, basically, my opponent can't score. However, when you invite pressure like this against someone like xMusti, he's starting to go into his own now, come into his own. He's creating so many chances. Even though NEissaT had that chance at the end, the directional nutmeg onto Ronaldo's weak foot. It was a fantastic save from Van der Sar and good goalkeeper movement. But it's just something where you have to keep in your mind a little bit. You just don't want to invite pressure too early on.
People often say, we always talk about FIFA being a mental game. Well, how is it? You literally just sitting, you're playing. Look at xMusti's performance in the last leg to the 45 minutes in this second leg. He got that 1 goal. We've seen multiple directional nutmegs in the final third. We've seen skill moves, first time shots. Defensively, he's better. That is one word, and it's confidence. He's just got confidence, and he's playing to more of the sort of xMusti that we recognise. That is a champion.
Exactly. But of course, he's still losing the game by 1. But the start will be very interesting. I'm seeing an attack here from NEissaT on the edge of the box, the directional nutmeg, just to get that speed boost with R9. He's playing it back here with 𝐤𝐤𝐤. And R9's opening up here.
R9! Huge goal for NEissaT. R9 Ronaldo with it. The opportunity came. Ruud Gullit, just patient play. Sort of a poor player switch, you would say, from 𝐚usti when you're going to watch that goal back. He committed with Kyle Walker. He approached the ball, slid in to R9 Ronaldo, who in that area is as clinical as ever.
Exactly, and you can see the grimace on 𝐚usti's face as soon as he conceded it. He knows he made a slight error in terms of player switching. But for NEissaT, of course, fantastic goal there. He was so composed the way he built up that attack. And as you mentioned, R9 at that angle on the right foot. For him to miss that, it would be crazy. But it's a fantastic goal.
NEissaT leading 3-1 here, with not too much FIFA left to play. He's been very good, NEissaT. He sort of had 45 minutes off, you would argue. First leg, he was outstanding. The first half of the second leg, he sort of went off the boil, but since this second half has started, he looks to be getting back to his level that we've seen him in previous tournaments.
Yeah, he is. And now you're going to probably see here where 𝐚usti might just throw a few more bodies forward. And he's already giving it away here. And this could be another chance.
R9 on the counter-attack, on the charge forward. Fake shot through Hernandez. R9 Ronaldo. Oh, he sent it to the shops. And that will be NEissaT 4-1 up. Replicating the celebration from R9. Wonderful from Ronaldo.
It's a great goal. It's very composed. I feel for 𝐚usti there with the running fake shot. It's just like he's gone through. I don't know who that was. I think it was either Theo Hernandez or 𝐥𝐤𝐤𝐞. Was unable to deal with it. And then, of course, we saw from the clip as well with #Tom where he spoke about when you sort of stand still, your opponent is flustered. He doesn't know what to do. They sort of try and predict what you're going to do. They run around a little bit and panic. And that's what happened here there with 𝐚usti. He sort of panicked, saw the shimmy in left to right, and it's a fantastic goal. It was very composed.
Yeah, talk about shimmying. Beautiful play from NEissaT. R9 Ronaldo proving his dominance in the attacking third. Kulusevski to wrap up the game with a nice little bow that will send him into a losers bracket semi-final against PSV Dennis. You see the offside traps being played quite aggressively just there from 𝐚usti. He knows that he has to go, and he has to go now. But R9 dancing into CR7, back to R9. CR7 bundled to the floor. Could have been a free kick. Referee happy with the aggressiveness from Theo Hernandez. And you've been in this predicament before, Ryan, when you're trailing with only sort of 15, 20, 25 minutes left. It's time to throw the kitchen sink.
100%. 100%, especially when you're playing someone that's been so structured in defense and the way he's building up play. And now he's got that sort of lead. The only way you're going to get back into it is just committing a few more bodies forward. You sort of have to. You'd rather, for me personally, sort of in NEissaT's perspective, he's been in the opposite situation against Dalamak, we always mentioned. The scoreline was so emphatic. However, I would rather lose by that, knowing that I've given everything. I've thrown so many bodies forward to try and score, and I've conceded so many. But at least I know to myself, in hindsight, I've done what I could in terms of just putting as many bodies forward to try and get a goal back or a couple of goals back to give me the best chance, rather than stay and rest on your laurels and hope that what you've been currently doing ends up working, when in 𝐚usti's perspective, it hasn't. So he needs to change something right now.
Well, I think you should be able to see that it's not necessarily been working. You've had 90 minutes, and then 65, 70 minutes in this second leg as well. It's really a case of change it now, or you're not even going to give yourself a chance to get back into the game and potentially continue your run in this qualifier. Well, we have got a little bit of time while the substitutions are being made and the tactical changes implemented. Just to talk on the consistency, Ryan. 3 out of the 6 players who made the last qualifier making this qualifier. That is unheard of in reality, especially in Europe, where you've got so many top players.
It's bizarre. In all honesty, for those that do compete on whichever console or whichever region you're in, they would know how difficult it is, especially as you mentioned in Europe. To be able to do one is incredible. To do it back to back to back is ridiculous. And there's also a player on PlayStation who I want to give a shout out to as well, who also qualified, of course, 4 times. So he's qualified for every single qualifier and it's 𝐥𝐤𝐤, and yeah, it's an amazing accomplishment.
Duncan being brought on there for NEissaT. Cristiano Ronaldo played into Alphonso Davies on the right foot, just wide of the post. You mentioned 4 times back-to-back. I think the only other player right now who's accomplished that, Matías Bonanno in South America.
Yeah.
Not only has he qualified for 4, Ryan, he's won 3, as well as winning the CONMEBOL 𝐸LIBERTADORES. He is outstanding right now.
He's on a completely different level. It is remarkable to see, and this could be a chance here.
Big goal! R9 slotting it past the goalkeeper. 17 minutes left to play. Only 2 goals separating Musti and NEissaT right now. Musti, you just see that press. All those white shirts starting to flood forward, I should say. No, that would have been squeaky bomb time for NEissaT if that had gone in.
Definitely. And for NEissaT, of course, I saw him sort of complain a little bit. Oh, this could be in here. No, Cancelo's going to get back over Duncan. But I saw him complain when Alphonso Davies missed a chance on his right foot. It's a good opportunity, but of course you don't expect him to score that, being a fullback on an odd angle on his weak foot. But I saw him complain. I was thinking, there's no point to complain. There's about 20 minutes left. You're up by 3. It should be fine. However, now if there's a goal that's scored, even on this attack or just before the 85th minute, I would say, then definitely for NEissaT, panic stations, 100%.
Yeah, he'll be very annoyed. R9 Ronaldo, heel to heel, left-footed strike, just wide of the post. I thought that was going to fly into the back of the net.
You expect R9 to score that. That's the chance there where I think, all right, that for me has to go in if I'm Messi, just because, again, just to give you that slimmer of hope, that slither of hope that's needed just to help push you, because the belief right now is running through. You can see he's attacking, and oh my God, this could be a chance again.
CR7 into R9, left foot, near post. Chance missed again for Musti. One of these has to go in if he wants to try and cement this comeback in reality. Kevin Mbabu, not really the player that you want flying forward, but he'll do a job for you. Mbabu, still Mbabu, into Lozano. Kleiber does well to step out, and I think with that successful defence, NEissaT will be going through to the losers bracket semi-final. R9 Ronaldo to put the icing on top of the cake. Van der Sar with a great save.
Wow, what goalkeeper movement. He sort of rushed there, and as you said, I'd say it's over now. It should be done. There's 3 minutes. He's got possession.
Oh, you're saying?
Oh my God.
He had possession. He had possession. Mbabu flying forward. Kleiber, the only man back. Player look. Mbabu still on the ball. Cuts it back to Lozano. On the right foot. Kleiber with a huge block. And now, Ryan, I'm comfortable in saying NEissaT will be going through.
Yeah, this is over now. That was unfortunate for Messi. It was well worked. He done well, sort of baiting with the player lock. But he just done too much there. And we spoke about heading. In my opinion, you don't even need to play a lock there. You see CR7 ahead of the fullback or the defender at that stage at the back post. You have to loft that, and CR7 would be latching onto that 100%. All you have to do is angle it on target. But even if he gets a goal here, potentially could do with R9, and it's fantastic. Ooh. He does. Yeah, unless you pay the ref, it's over. It's 100% over.
R9 Ronaldo running away in celebration. 4 goals to 3. Musti will crash out of the tournament. NEissaT goes on, Ryan. Second against third. Third comes out successful in the end, but a fantastic game for Jimmy, Spencer and Ryan. 6 become 4 in the European qualifier. Number 4.
Thank you, Richard and Ryan. Do you know what I made of this game? That is some top world-class FIFA, and I want more of it in my life. Inject it into my veins. The number 2 ranked team, or player, loses to the number 3 ranked player in the world on the Xbox side in Europe. I should qualify that with Europe. But still, that is the FIFA I want to see. Take a look here now at the brackets. Saw a very good, comprehensive performance from Dennis against Pablo. Was in control from minute 1 till the very end. This one, though, NEissaT maybe not as much in control. Musti, my big question for Musti, and when Spencer and Ryan and if that's a precursor of what we're going to see for the rest of the tournament, sign me up.
100%. This game didn't disappoint. I'm happily to watch this one back as well. great composure throughout in the box from NEissaT. One of the goals particularly we're going to see back in a minute was unreal finishing. Really happy to have the ball at his feet and invite pressure and make the defence of Musti try and come up with an answer. That was very impressive. Obviously, first leg, 2-0 up. Going to the second leg, how was that Ronaldo for Musti there? Got that much space? I do not know. Passed it to the other Ronaldo. Nice little right-footed finesse. Finish, gets it back to 2-1. We started to get back into a game now. 3-1 at this point it was. NEissaT's going through. And then look at the close control. Beats that defender. And then that there is unreal. I mean, sometimes you don't actually have to press a load of buttons, guys. Like, obviously, sometimes you want to score these great skill goals, but sometimes it's less is more. That's exactly what that was there. We saw this late renaissance from Musti, but a few misses from tight angles. It could